Hello, welcome to the webinar. My name is Dr. Jason Branch, and I'll be your facilitator for this webinar. Expanding Perspectives, Effective Approaches to Embrace Cultures and Communities. Why this workshop matters. As you know, the world is increasingly diverse and interconnected. I feel as though we're all connected on some level, some scale, in some type of way. You know, they say there's 3 degrees of separation from everybody, or 6 degrees, I think it's three, or less than, depending on what profession you're in. But more than likely, if you're in the helping profession, you're connected to other helping professionals. And that's what we're going to dive into, is talking about us and how we connect to people. So understanding, respecting, and appreciating different cultures is essential. This webinar enhances self-awareness and promotes empathy and compassionate engagement. Participants will gain tools to explore cultural frameworks, challenge biases, and deepen understanding. Participants will challenge to test perspectives, beliefs, and step outside their comfort zone. If that's you, you signed up for the right course. I'm glad you're here. So buckle up, Buttercup. I got some recommendations for you. To get the best out of this webinar, to get the best experience, because this webinar is an experience. We call it a webinar, but what you go through, what we go through together is an experience. And here are a few recommendations for you to get the best out of this experience. Number one is having an open mind. Being open-minded, having open ears, meaning you're listening, really kind of paying attention to the things that's being shared, challenging yourself, and having an open heart. So open mind, open ears, open heart to receive what's going to be offered. Get you a notebook or journal, highlighter, crayon, pencil, marker, pen, it don't matter. Anything that you can write with, because you want to write some of these things down. There's a lot of concepts we're going to share that applies not just to the topic that we're discussing today, but a lot of different areas throughout life. It's applicable to the information that's going to be shared. So you want to be able to take notes and write some information down that you're going to be using a little later on. Consider a different perspective than your own. One of the biggest things when it comes to us shifting and changing is considering other perspectives. We love our perspective. Our perspective is comfort. But I want you to be willing to step outside your comfort zone in order to see things from a different perspective, which is the next one, a willingness to become comfortable being uncomfortable. That's how we can get outside of our comfort zone. And last but not least, all the information you're going to gain today is going to be helpful. It's going to be transformational. And I don't want you to leave it here. Don't leave it on the screen. Don't leave it in your office. Don't leave it wherever you are getting this information. I want you to share it. Share it with other people who could benefit from it. If it brought value to your life, if it was transformational for you, share it with someone else. That's all I recommend. That's all I recommend. You can decide how you want to do with it. I'm just going to give you me. And you can do what you choose to with the information. So a little bit about me. I've been in the profession for 20 years. I've been in the counseling profession for 20 years as a counselor educator, as a clinician, as a consultant. I've been in the profession. And throughout my years in this profession, I've learned the core to everything that we do. And the core is humanism. I'm a humanistic perspective. I'm a humanistic therapist. So I look at things from a humanism lens, meaning human beings. And one thing I learned about human beings are going to do human things. We're going to talk about it. So overview, what are we going to discuss during this webinar? I'm glad you asked. Number one, barriers. What are some of the barriers to connection of human interaction, engagement? What's the impact of bias and stereotypes? What's the power of perspective, which means your lens, how you view life, how you view yourself, how you view others? The next is a concept that I'm a fan of, and you're going to hear from here on out. Anytime you hear my name, you're going to hear something related to a salamander and the gator because it applies to so many different things. So I'm sure you're wondering, how do we go from barriers to connection, stereotypes, our perspective to a salamander and gator? What does that have to do with anything? I'm glad you asked. We're going to talk about it before we get out of here today. And then the last, again, you got to take this information and give it away. Action steps towards healthy change. What are we going to do differently in order to create these changes? So that's the overview. Protocol has been established. Let's dive in. So understanding key barriers. What's the issue? What's the problem? What's preventing us from connecting? What's preventing us from engaging in different communities and populations, working with clients, students, and everyone else in between? Part of the reason that we have difficulties with engaging or interacting is due to comfort. We love our comfort zone. And when I say we, I'm talking about people, okay? If you're a person, human being, not your dog counts as a person, as a dog, but not as a person. We're talking about human beings. We love comfort. Let me give you an example of how much we love comfort. Check your thermostat right now. What's the temperature set on? You don't even have to check it because you know what it's set on because you set it or somebody in your house did and you know exactly what it is. We typically do not change that thermostat unless the weather changes. When the weather changes, we change the thermostat. What that means is we love comfort. We will never put ourselves in a position to be uncomfortable unless we're moved to do so. Here's an example. In your home, that thermostat is exactly what it is. No one turns it up or down to purposely, intentionally be uncomfortable. Never seen it before, never heard it before. If you have, let me know. But on average, we're not going to change the dial of that to bring us uncomfort. We usually change the dial to make sure we remain comfortable. The lack of awareness and desire for exposure. When it comes to different people, places, and things, you're going to hear that often. People, places, and things. It's the lack of awareness. If I don't know, if I'm not aware, I'm ignorant to other people, places, and things. And that ignorance can bring anxiety and fear because it's the unknown. And that fear and discomfort when working with unfamiliar communities and cultures keeps us separated, keeps us disconnected. And as you can tell now during this season, during this political climate, you can see a lot of division because of the unfamiliarity with different people, places, and things. There's a lack of tools and strategies for enhancing cultural humility. So we're moving away from cultural competence to cultural humility. Cultural competence is the idea of being competent enough and understanding all different types of people, places, and things, different types of culture, communities. And I don't think we can ever get to competency. But I do feel as though we can get to humility, and humility is being as authentic as possible. And then implicit biases, stereotypes, and their own influence on interactions. So we, as human beings, we have our own biases. We have stereotypes. We have beliefs. How can we not? For however long you've been on this earth or wherever you consider yourself to be right now, you have been given information that's helpful and hurtful at the same time. A lot of information was given to us for several different reasons, our own lived experience, but that information is the reason why we move the way that we move in life. I want to challenge you to consider how you move in life and how can I begin moving differently if what I'm doing currently isn't helping, isn't supporting, isn't assisted me and others. Now, understand the framework of this webinar is based off of humanism. It's based off of connection in human beings and helping professionals. Okay, that's you. That's you. So this is part of what we're going to be discussing. So the bias and stereotypes. Let's dive into them. We all have biases. We all have stereotypes, as I mentioned, but let's get a little more specific. Many of us, all of us, have unconscious bias. The unconscious bias is unfair prejudice or unsupported judgment in favor for or against one thing, typically a person, a group as compared to others. As a result, certain people benefit and other people are penalized. Let me give you an example of that. Unconscious bias, this belief that if I was born and raised in this environment, I think this way, that everybody thinks this way, or everybody needs to think this way. And if they don't, that's a problem. But I may not ever say that to a particular person, but my behavior may say it. How I move, how I navigate the life may say it as well. So some of those unconscious bias could be ways that I may treat people that I'm not familiar with because of my beliefs about them, especially if they're different from me. Stereotyping, a standardized mental picture that is held in common by members of a group that represents an oversimplified opinion, prejudice attitude, or uncritical judgment. So the stereotype is me categorizing people, places, and things to be one thing, although we never are a monolith. No community, no culture, no one is a monolith. So how can I view a person and consider that person a representative of an entire community, of entire race, of entire culture? I can't, but more often we do. Why? Because of what I shared before about comfort. We love comfort. So if this is what I believe, I will stick to these beliefs because they work for me. And sometimes you can believe in something so long that it become a fact to you, even when it's not. Explicit and implicit bias. Explicit bias is a demonstration of conscious preference or aversion towards a person or group. With explicit bias, we are aware of the attitudes and beliefs that we have towards others. The beliefs can be either positive or negative and can cause us to treat others unfairly. So the explicit, I already know where I stand. I already know who I am. I already know what I think, and I'm going to move accordingly. We're confident when it comes to our explicit bias. And that confidence is you can't tell me anything different. Here's an example: a person who may be a convicted felon, someone who may have been dealing with the criminal system or criminal justice system. Typically, we may have an explicit bias towards that person that they're categorized to be something that they're not. We don't give that person, we may not, with explicit bias, we don't give that person an opportunity to show who they are. We assume who they are based off of what they did. That's explicit. So I'm going to treat you differently based off of me finding out you have a criminal record. Last time I checked, at any point in time, any of us can have a criminal record, or you may have one or it's been expunged. I'm not here to tell your business. That's your business. It ain't mine. But the difference is a lot of people don't know what you've done. But what happens when we find out what people do? That explicit bias comes out. But how can I be biased towards somebody else when I have my own stuff? And we all have it. Implicit bias is a collection of associations and reactions that emerge automatically upon encountering an individual or group. We associate negative or positive stereotypes with certain groups and let that influences how we treat them rather than remaining neutral. Let me give you a personal example of implicit bias happening to me, towards me. So I'm leaving this event one day, and every day, as a therapist, every day I work really hard to try to encourage myself to do things new, different, and or uncomfortable. I always try to find a way to step outside of my comfort zone. So this particular day, I was going to an event. I'm dressed to the nines. I mean, I'm suited and booted, bow tie on, nice shine shoes, full suit. I'm looking good. I'm feeling good. I'm smelling good. And I decided before I go to this event, I'm going to stop in this really wealthy area that I was close to and stop at the mall. Stopped at the mall to shop, to go shopping. I was going to pick up a few things at a place that I normally shop at, which is Nordstrom, right? Well, people that know, they call it Nordy. I didn't even know it was that, right? So I'm going to Nordstrom to go shopping because it's outside my comfort zone, because my comfort zone is TJ Maxx and Marshalls. Don't judge me. Don't you judge me. So I step outside my comfort zone and go to Nordstrom. I'm feeling like $1,000,000. So I'm feeling act like I'm spending $1,000,000 because of how I felt. So I go in, I'm shopping, I'm looking around, and I go in the men's section of the store in Nordstrom, and I pick up some shoes, and I'm looking at them. And there's this white woman who sees me and comes up to me and say, "Hey, excuse me, could you show me to the men's department?" And I said, "Excuse me." She said, "Yeah, well, tell me." She doubled down on it. "Tell me where the shirts at for the men." And I said, "Ma'am, I actually don't work here." And she looked at me confused, and I looked at her confused. And what happened was her implicit bias. She assumed that because I have a suit on and I'm looking at things in this section, I must work here because there's no other reason a black male should be in this area, in this department, at this store, doing anything outside of working. That was her belief. She's entitled to it. But her belief impacted me. It crushed my spirit, it crushed my soul because she didn't know who I was. She assumed who I was and placed her assumption on me without ever asking. She just knew who I actually was. And she was wrong. But it didn't matter at the time. What she believed was more important than who I was. That's an example of implicit bias. And that day I went to my car, I left the mall. I put the shoe down and I left in that moment because I didn't have what I needed to have a conversation with her to let her know who I actually am. And I went to my car and it just sucked the life out of me. I didn't know that regardless of how much money I make, how many degrees I have, what I'm wearing, for some people, they only see a black man. And for those people who only see black man to be a certain way, that's the only way she was able to see me. Unfortunate for her, but great thing for me, I can share the story with you all. So belief bias. We have biases connected to our beliefs, and that belief bias is the tendency to evaluate the strengths of an argument based on its plausibility. I think it's right, so it got to be right. I was told it's right, so it got to be right. And oftentimes when we're looking in this world of life, we look at it from a very black and white perspective. It's either yes or no. I'm either good or I'm bad. It's either great or terrible. But there's a lot of things that happens in between. What happens with belief bias is black and white thinking. It's only one thing or the other. The reality is it can be multiple things because between black and white, there's a minimum of 50 shades of gray. You read the book. You watched the movie. It's a minimum of 50 Shades of Grey, which means I got actually 52 options to choose from. But I'm not worried about those options. Again, I love comfort, so it's only one way or the other. And instead of considering the validity of an argument itself, we rely on prior knowledge and beliefs. That woman relied on prior knowledge and beliefs about Black men and gave it to me. I didn't ask for it. I was there minding my business. In other words, if an argument aligns with our beliefs, we tend to accept it. Human beings doing human things. Now, that's a perspective, and you're entitled to it. However, a lot of times your perspective can impact people based off of what you do with that perspective. So here's some examples. The power perspective, our lived experiences. Those lived experiences curate our beliefs around people, places, and things. Here's some examples. These are not the only ones, but these are just a few that came up. Personal experience from birth to where you are now, your cultural background, your beliefs, your environment, family of origin, even your birth order, where you are, by only child, siblings, middle child, oldest child, youngest child, adopted, you name it. That background has an impact on us. Our upbringing, how was I raised? Was it two-parent household, one-parent household? Was my father involved, mother involved? Was grandparents there? Who was there? That had an impact on me. My education or lack thereof, or social class also had an impact. Values, which is different for everybody. Your zip code. Ooh, we talking. Think about the zip code you grew up in versus the zip code you're in now. I'm pretty sure those are two different zip codes, especially if you and I are talking right now. And with those different zip codes are different lived experiences. The country you live in, the state you live in, the city you live in also plays a role in that, where you were to where you are right now. Familial, this is what we do in family, this is culture, this is tradition, that plays a role. Even to go far back to ancestral beliefs that's been passed down from generation to generation to generation. And lastly is the beliefs that you have about people, places, and things. So these beliefs from our lived experiences shape our perspective, and our perspective is our reality until we understand or learn different perspectives. Now, these perspectives that we have from our own lived experience equates to how we view people. It's gonna get real in here, y'all, okay? This is where I really need you to buckle up, okay? And prepare yourself for where we're about to go. Because as a helping professional, for many of us, I don't care where you are and what you do, we all have fears and anxiety related to certain people based off of what they've done, based off of who they are, based off of how I perceive them to be. Not who they are, but how I may perceive them to be. So the power perspective based off of lived experiences that I have with people. So I may treat people a certain way because of how people treated me. Ooh, I told you. I told you where we was about to go. I tried to warn you. Told you where it was about to go. Let me give you an example. I may treat certain people of color a certain way because certain people of color may have I've been painted a narrative of who they actually are, but everybody is who they are individually. So how can I assume somebody is one way based off an entire culture of people, entire race of people? Same thing with gender. Thinking about, male, female, person, non-binary, we all have feelings and beliefs about it, especially now because it's new for many of us who've never been exposed to it until now. Ageism, sexism, ability, you name it. Again, education and social class. We may look at certain people based off of their educational background or their class. So, perpetrators. Yes, perpetrators of whatever, sexual assault, sexual abuse, crime. We look at perpetrators a certain way. We also look at victims a certain way. Think about a victim of domestic violence. For many of us, the idea is how long does it take a person to leave? Or a victim of domestic violence is, if it was me, I would do A through Z. We have beliefs and ideas and perspectives about different people. Criminals and the law. I just shared a little earlier. A lot of times we may have these views about certain people, uh, and based off what they did, the crime that they may have committed, or the crime that you committed that nobody knows about. Ooh, nobody found out yet. The LGBTQ plus community. There are views, there are beliefs. You have them, you're entitled to them. But imagine these views and beliefs impacting other people because more often than not, our opinion, we don't mind sharing. Political and religious views. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because our upbringing connects to those political and religious views. Substance use and abuse. So someone's dealing with addiction. We all have beliefs and ideas about these people, places, and things. I hope this is making sense. Understand that these people, because what we're sharing now is all about people, and there are certain people that you may not feel comfortable working with. Understand that that is your issue and not theirs. We're going to sit on that one for a minute. So, any person that's just been mentioned that you may struggle with, that is your struggle, not their struggle, because they are being exactly who they are, but you perceive them to be something they're not. Understand where that came from, your belief system. And I like to simplify things. I love analogies, metaphors, kind of my thing. And I want to simplify something when it comes to your belief system. How I view belief system is a simple equation. This is the most math we're going to do. Listen, I'm a counselor, licensed professional counselor. I don't do math. I'm in this profession for a reason, and it's not for math, okay? So this is the most math we're going to do, I promise. But when I think about your belief system, I think about two equations. 2 plus 2 is 5. 2 plus 2 is 4. What do you think the difference is between these two equations? Write it down. What do you think it is? Like, take a moment, stop the video. What's the difference between 2 plus 2 is 5 and 2 plus 2 is 4? Whatever your answer is, it's valid. It's yours. You're entitled to it. Now, if I ask, what does it mean to have 2 plus 2 is 5? You may look at me like, yeah, I could tell why you got into this profession because you don't do math well. 2 plus 2 is 4 is easy, it's calm, it feels good. The difference between these two equations is one is a belief and one is a fact. 2 plus 2 is 5 is a belief. 2 plus 2 is 4 is a fact. How do we know the difference between the two? 2 plus 2 is 4 is a fact because it can be proven. 2 plus 2 is 5 is a belief which cannot be proven, but I can believe in something so long that it's a fact to me even when it's not. Let me give you an example of 2 plus 2 is 5. This belief. Many of you, if not all, I'll say many, I can't say all, because now I'm generalizing, stereotyping. Many of us grew up from birth to where you are now with this cabinet, closet, drawer that's filled with things that doesn't work. Junk drawer. Heard of one of those? Got one of those? Pretty sure you can look around and see it. You can go to the kitchen, you can go wherever and get to this junk drawer. Understand that that junk drawer has followed you from birth to wherever you are right now. And it's filled with things that don't work, that you don't need, that you don't use, but you keep carrying it around. Why? Because our parents, guardians, ancestors, other people, they did the same thing. So we just follow in the footsteps. So no matter where you move, that junk drawer move with you. Why? Because of your beliefs. Are you seeing what I'm seeing now? Because I know for a fact there is something in there that you can get rid of. Those pennies that turn green, those coupons that expired, menu to a restaurant that don't even exist anymore, instructions to household items that you don't even have, you don't use. Just think about how much stuff you have that you hold on to that don't serve you anymore. Think about the clothes that you have that got tags on that you can't even wear the clothes, or the shoes. You only got 2 feet. Why you got 30 pairs of shoes? And some you haven't worn yet. We're just collecting them. So I wanted to give you an example of how we hold on to things as fact and is actually a belief. And if that is our literal junk drawer that you can actually walk to now and open up and know that I can get rid of this, this, and this, you know that right now, that's literal. Imagine the figurative junk drawer, the one inside of you, the one inside of us. So if that's tangible and I can see it and I don't do anything about it, imagine the one that's not tangible, that's inside of us that I don't do anything about it. Same thing related to the bias, beliefs, and stereotypes. Not willing to do anything about it because we love comfort. I hope this is making sense. So let's go back in time. As I mentioned before, no matter your zip code, where you were to where you are, they're different. They're very different. And I like to look at things as a house. We all come from a house, right? The house you grew up in to the house you in now. Those are two different houses, more than likely. Even if it's not, there's different things inside of those houses than have been since you were younger. And when I think about a house, I think about us, the body, the temple, the person, right? Three levels, three layers. You have the attic, the living room, and the basement. As you can see from my spot, we're in the living room right now. Me and you. We in the living room, living our best life. Understand, in the living room is one of our most comfortable places. It's where we can be transparent, we can be authentic. Depends on who in there with us. In your living room, typically you're sitting on the couch with your shoes and socks off, rubbing your feet together, watching your favorite TV show or movie. You're at home. It's comfortable. The attic is a little bit different. The attic is even more comfortable. I mean, it's pristine. You got a California king size bed. You got a wine bar. You got pictures all over the walls. And I'm not talking about like New Kids on the Block posters and Kobe posters. I'm talking about art from Picasso to Basquiat. It's really nice up there because we spend a lot of time in the attic. The attic actually represents your mind, your head. We spend a lot of time on our head where we can't be present in the living room when I'm spending so much time in my head. And then the last layer, the last floor is the basement. In the basement, we don't go down there. We don't spend no time in the basement because it's scary, it's dark, it's sweaty, it's stinky. And all the things that happen to us, trauma, things from the past, whatever hurt, harm, and danger happened, we throw it in that basement, we lock the door, shut it, and we never go down there. There's a padlock on the basement door because we do not spend any time there. My belief is all the magic that can happen in your life is in that basement. Imagine making your basement as pristine as your attic. Ooh, wait. Imagine cleaning that junk drawer out and only keeping things that work and only adding things that work. That junk drawer will convert from a junk drawer to a utility drawer, which means everything in there works. That's literal. That's what's tangible. You can go do that. You can change at any point in time when you want, even though you've done this your entire life. I just want you to see it. So this is your house based off of who you were. And there's three parallels that I look at: who we were, who we are, who we're becoming. And those three parallels will last for the rest of your life. Who you were, who you are, who you're becoming. So your views about certain people is what it was, is what it is, or what it will be. You get to determine that. And how we can do that is to begin shifting from who we were to embrace who we are to make room for who we're trying to become. So you asked a little bit earlier, what are you talking about with this gator and salamander thing? I'm glad you asked. So, hey, salamanders, welcome to the club. As a salamander, this goes to that belief system, right? So the belief system from the past related to how I interact or engage with people, places, and things, or choose not to, is based off of our perspective. And a perspective that I want to offer you is a salamander perspective, which is you. Yes, indeed. It's all of us. Because anything new or different that we engage in or indulge in, we represent a salamander in it. What does that mean? A salamander is soft, squishy, penetrable, vulnerable, no protection, just out here, naked and afraid, right? It's like a turtle leaving its shell. That's a salamander. Naked and afraid, and I ain't talking about the TV show, right? And there are 4 P's to salamander life. This is something I've developed based off of my years of experience in this profession, seeing us in our most vulnerable state. And that most vulnerable state is the state of the unknown. So when we don't know something, we're salamanders. And there's 4 P's of salamander life. Number 1 is perfection. Very black and white thinking. It can only be one way or the other. That perfectionist mentality keeps us vulnerable, keeps us stuck, keeps us in the past. Then you have number 2, perception. Your perception is only as big as your reality. So if I've never left the zip code I was in or didn't move further than the state that I'm in, I have a very limited view perspective. If I don't travel, if I don't go different places, if I just go work and go home, go to the grocery store, there's so many things in life that I'm missing. If I only talk to the people that I'm comfortable with, that I love, like, and trust, then I'm limited with other perspectives or beliefs or ideas. So my perception can only go so far. The best way I can describe this, imagine you love staying at the Days Inn or Motel 6. And there's a lot of other hotels out here. And one of the most luxurious hotels is like the Four Seasons or Intercontinental. There's people who never step foot in those places, and there's people who love staying at the day's end. Understand those are two different perspectives, no matter where you lay your head. Therapy, patience. You have none. Okay? Salamanders ain't got no patience for nothing outside of their comfort zone. Last but not least, present. You're not. Salamanders live in the future or the past. They cannot be present because if I live in the past, therefore, anybody that's in front of me, I connect to who I used to be, to what was done to me, to what happened to me, to what I believe about this particular person that's in front of me who I've never met. Going back to Nordstrom. I assume people are who they are based off of what I was taught and told. And if you notice with this salamander, the eyes are bright, there's no teeth there, which means they talk the most and know the least. You don't even see brain matter in the head of this salamander right here. So how do we change that? How do we do things different? I'm glad you asked. One way, and I'm a fan, this is my shameless plug related to this profession of therapy. Many of us are therapists, social workers. We work in the helping profession, but we don't consider therapy for ourselves. Why? Never had to, never thought about it. What do I need help for? I'm here to help other people. But sometimes the helpers need help the most. That could be you. So here's my disclaimer. I would challenge you to reconsider therapy. Reconsider therapy to figure out who you are, who you were, who you're trying to become. Therapy is a form of treatment aimed at relieving emotional distress and mental health concerns. Therapy is provided by and for a variety of trained professionals, such as school counselors, psychiatrists, psychologists, licensed counselors, licensed social workers. All helping professionals can benefit from therapy. Not saying it's required, but you can benefit from it. Just like going to the gym, you can benefit from it with your physical health. Therapy, you can benefit with your mental health. Therapy encourages you to step outside your comfort zone. If I step on your toes, I don't apologize. Challenge your beliefs and behaviors and assist you with creating and maintaining healthy balance within your life. Healthy balance helps you help other people. Unhealthy balance keeps your biases and beliefs intact, which means you may hurt a lot of people knowingly and unknowingly. So to me, the process of becoming a better version of you is becoming a gator. Ooh. Are you a gator? For me, 20 years in the game, understanding cultural humility, I am a gator. As you can see, arms folded. I got scales, I'm protected. Mouth is closed and you see the teeth. So you already know what you're dealing with from the top. Gator life. 4 P's salamander life. There are 5 C's to gator life because gator's a little extra. All right. I want to share with you what gators do. Number one, gators are not trying to be perfect. They're trying to be consistent. They just keep showing up. They keep showing up, trying to figure it out. Again, I've been in this profession for 20 years. I still don't know everything I know it all. And I'm okay with that. Because I look at the counseling profession like the game of chess. You can learn how to play chess about 10, 15 minutes, but it can take you a lifetime to master. That's how I look at the helping profession. It may take you 2 or 3 years to get a master's, 4 or 5 years, 6 years to get a PhD. But it could take you a lifetime to master this perspective because we're trying to have mastery over ourselves and the work that we do for other people, which leads to number 2. There's good therapists and there's great ones. The bad ones we ain't gonna talk about because they're about to talk about them. Gators are curious. So the woman at Nordstrom, she was not curious. She had an assumption. That assumption to her was a fact. There is no way I'm a black male looking as nice as I am and I don't work here. She wasn't curious. She was a salamander. That's okay. She met a salamander too, and that's okay. I'm a gator now because of that experience. So curiosity is, I don't know, but I want to know. I'm curious about you. Tell me about your culture. Tell me about your race. Tell me about your background. Tell me about your gender, your sexuality, your political affiliation, your religious affiliation. I'm curious. I don't know. So teach me from you. And that person can give you information about them that gives you a broader perspective than you ever had before. Sometimes we take an experience from one encounter with one person and make that person a representative of an entire community. That's unfair to that community and that culture and that race. Because one person doesn't represent you. One person doesn't represent this country, this society, who we are. Number 3, gators are creative. Gators are creative because they're authentic. If you are your authentic self, there is vulnerability there. There is sensitivity, there's insecurity, there are all those things that as humans we have, but we cover it up. But if I'm creative, if I'm open, then I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to grow and go and change and shift. Gators are also courageous. They take risks, they step up, they ask questions, they don't assume. They're courageous. They step outside their comfort zone to meet with people they never met with to get an understanding of who this person is. Because if you peel back every layer of anybody, the core is a human being, a flawed, honest, vulnerable human. Our lived experiences are the layers that's packed on top of all of us that makes us become the person that we are. If I'm courageous, I'm willing to ask questions, to peel back layers, to understand other people, and I have to be willing to do the same thing for myself. Last but not least, what many salamanders struggle with is celebration. Gators celebrate before, during, and after. Imagine if you decided to clean out that junk drawer and you made a utility drawer. That's a celebration. I've been holding on to this crap for years. And let's say, for instance, it's not a junk drawer. I'm sure you are, or you know somebody that got those bags full of plastic bags. You just keep collecting bags. And there's a belief about these bags. I'm going to need them one day. You don't need 1,000 bags. These are facts. And the belief also is I'm going to run out. How are you going to run out if you have to grocery store at least every other week? How can you run out? Buying them $50 eggs? That was wrong, but it was so right. I just want to talk about facts. I just want to talk about facts. So we have a responsibility to become the best version of us to help other people. So whoever you are afraid of, whatever culture, community, race, whatever it is that you don't deal with, you don't fool with, understand that's your stuff. All of it's in the basement. I'm happy we're chilling in the living room. So the question then is, what do we do now? Now that we know the barriers, now that we know the statistics and the history, now that we know who we are and where we are, the next question is, what do we do? What do we do? I got you. So what are some effective strategies to engage with diverse communities? Number one, build trust through active listening and empathy. But how can I listen if I don't ask? Ooh, I can't listen if I'm not asking. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should be listening twice as much as you're talking. Just want to talk about facts. Practice cultural humility and lifelong learning. As you can see from the Gator's a lifelong learner. I'm just here to learn. I want to get as much information as I can. The beauty of the Gator is all the scales that the Gator has is through every lived experience, every encounter, everything that's happened to them is how they get that protective covering. With a salamander out here, vulnerable, naked and afraid, everything sticks, they're penetrable. With the Gator, it's a hard outer shell. But understand, even with that hard armor and protection, there's vulnerability on the underbelly. But only people that you give access to has access to the Gator. Salamander, you just out here naked and afraid. So people who are aware, who practice cultural humility and understand, knows what ignorance looks like, knows what beliefs looks like, and don't allow other people's ignorance to impact them. That's who I had to become after that Nordstrom experience. I'll share more later. So if I'm a lifelong learner, I'm constantly growing and getting better because I'm looking at the 3 parallels of who I was, who I am, and who I am becoming. Those are 3 different people. Effective strategies also include leveraging inclusive language and behaviors. If somebody has pronouns that they want to be addressed by, out of respect for them, learn how to address them as they ask or as they request. Because if I share my name is Jason and you tell me my name is Bob, we have a problem because I told you what my name is. And out of respect for me, can you meet me halfway? And if there is a reason that you can't, understand it's based off of your beliefs, not what you know for facts. It's based off of your beliefs. I'm not calling this person this name or that name. This is who I identify them as. This is what they look like. This is what they'll be. That's an assumption. People have a right to be, do whatever they want because we all do. Collaborate with allies, advocates, community leaders, and partners. You don't have to do this by yourself. There's help. There's people who are more than willing to share who they are with you if you're willing to listen. More effective strategies. Shift it. Instead of the effective strategies that's external, let's look at the effective strategies that's internal. Meaning, how do I begin working on myself more? I mentioned therapy. Ding. If I could do a little ding indicator, I need a producer out here. Somebody give me a little ding indicator. That's a ding, that's a moment. Okay. Working on yourself. Number one, listen and observe. Pay attention to what comes up for you in certain moments. Certain client populations you're afraid to work with, you're afraid of, that's something going on with you. And oftentimes, countertransference happens as an opportunity to give you insight on who you once were. Countertransference is when we connect with the client, and that client reminds us of a person, place, or thing. And that person, place, or thing is something unresolved that's in the basement of our homes. For example, client may remind you of your father or your mother, of an ex, of a family member, and it's triggering because they do something, they smell a certain way, whatever the case may be. You may feel connected to this person in a way that's unresolved trauma, unresolved issues from the past. Therefore, I need to deal with me. It's not their issue, it's yours. My belief is there's nobody under the sun that we can't work with or you don't want to work with. Again, if you do, that's an issue with you, not them. So if there was a Martian that came in, which I'm sure we probably got him somewhere, I don't know, facts and beliefs up for debate. We are the first line of defense of helping professionals. And as a helping professionals, our job is our responsibility to meet that person where they are, meet that thing where they are, meet that UFO where it is. And the best way I can get to know this thing, this being, is to listen and observe, ask instead of assume. Whew, this is heavy. Am I the only one carrying this weight? Educate yourself. Get more knowledge. How do I get knowledge about other people? Study them. Study them. Talk to them. Ask questions. You encounter different types of people all day, every day, and say nothing. Especially post-pandemic, there's a lot of conversations we're not having that we used to have because of our lived experience. I hope you're seeing the parallels here. Next is communicate effectively. If you make a mistake and call somebody out of their name, out of their pronouns, own it. I apologize. I didn't mean, I didn't know. Could you teach me? Could you educate me? I'm still learning myself. That's humility. Engage authentically. Share. I don't know much about Black people. Tell me. Educate me. I don't know much about Hispanic people. I don't know much about atheists. I don't know much about Democrats, Republicans. I don't know much about MAGA people. Educate me. I don't know. But the things that I'm hearing, things that I'm seeing, they're about my beliefs. I don't know for a fact, but help me learn. I'm okay with that. Last but not least, be a gator. Be a gator. As I mentioned, those 5 C's, be a gator. Be consistent. Keep showing up. Be curious. I want to know more. Be creative. Find different ways to interact and engage. Be courageous, meaning step outside of your comfort zone, take more risk, and then celebrate your accomplishments. For example, I try my best to celebrate all accomplishments before, during, or after. And there was a time I was working with a client and I made one of the biggest assumptions, and it was a mistake. So I had a male client that comes in and I'm building rapport, trying to get to know him a bit. And I asked him, hey, so, married, family, wife, children, like what's your story? So I put assumptions on him. How's your wife? How's your family? And he shared, I actually don't have a wife, I have a husband. And it was a mistake that I made, and I had to own it. And I'm thankful that he was honest enough to share his truth. And that was a mistake I made at that time, and I've never made it again because I asked for his forgiveness, and I got a chance to talk to him to learn more about my biases related to men marrying women, not considering there are men who marry men. That was mine. I owned it. I apologized. He helped me learn more. Never made that mistake again. That's Gator. That's what a Gator does. So, self-discovery for growth. When it comes to this self-discovery for growth, this can be really hard because, as I mentioned from the beginning of this webinar, we love comfort. I don't know one human being that does not like comfort. Besides those who choose to be gators. Ooh, gators stand up. Those are the ones who decide to get out of their comfort zone. And when you get out of your comfort zone, you can do things you've never done before. And in order to step outside your comfort zone, you have to be intentional. So, my challenge with you is how can I be intentional with becoming comfortable being uncomfortable? Next, reflect on personal, cultural frameworks and biases. Your upbringing, your background is a very small and skewed perspective. Very small, very skewed. Now, I'm going to share something that can be controversial, but it wouldn't be me if I didn't share it. Think about where you were born and raised. Think about your religious affiliation. I said it. Why not? We're therapists. We're helping professionals. We can talk about anything on the side. And if you can't, guess what? That's your issue. I just want to talk about it. That's it. Just want to talk about it. So if you're born in Birmingham, Alabama, more than likely you're probably a Christian, Southern Baptist, possibly, right? Provo, Utah, Mormon, Iran, Iraq, Muslim, right? Catholic, different places wherever you were born. So wherever you're born determines your religious belief, affiliation, because that's what you were taught and told. That belief, that religious preference, affiliation does not change until you leave home. For those who do change, and there's some I've held on to this belief, I'll never give it up. And there's people that may have had a belief at one point in time, but once they left home and being exposed to something new or different, they may shift or change. Example, you had a family member that was a Christian, they got locked up, went to jail, they came out a Muslim. Why? Because they were around Muslims. They was in that environment. They shifted. Well, who's to say who's right and who's wrong? Because last time I checked, no one has died and came back and told us how it was. So when it comes to religion and what happens when it's all said and done, it's all belief. Unless you have facts and died and came back, this is your second life. Listen, text me, email me. I want to know what happens in the afterlife. Why you ain't wrote a book yet? Where you at? So if you haven't, therefore we don't know. What we do is believe. You're entitled to your belief, but sometimes your beliefs can hurt other people if you're not aware of them. So reflect, go back in time, go back to that junk drawer, go back to wherever you need to go to figure out who you are and who you are not. And sometimes we have to reintroduce ourselves to ourselves and then to other people. Embrace discomfort as a catalyst for growth. Now, I want to talk about this for a hot minute. I believe in counseling karma. Counseling karma, if you're a helping professional, counseling karma is anything, people, places, or things that you choose to avoid, ignore. I don't want any parts of. I don't want to affiliate. I don't want no parts of it. Whatever that is going to find you. If I don't want to work with men, I don't want to work with gay people, I don't want to work with Trump supporters, I don't want to work with this person, that person. Whatever it is, number one, is yours. Number two, it's going to find you. You're going to work with. One thing I love about this profession, it's going to help you personally and professionally based off of the experiences that you have working with other people. So anyone that you avoid is going to find you. Now, we can choose to do whatever we want with that information. So if I'm embracing what's uncomfortable for me, then I'm choosing to do these things intentionally. There's an opportunity in front of me right now. There's a student I never thought about. There's a parent I never considered working with. There's a family I never considered working with. What if I consider working with them? They've been placed in my path for a reason. I get to decide. More self-discovery and for growth. Set intentional goals for transformation and inclusivity. Again, if there's a person, place, or thing you don't deal with, how can I be intentional about that certain population, community, or culture to embrace or engage in? If I'm a Christian, let me see what other religions do. Let me just find out. But there's beliefs that we hold on that if I go visit another church or synagogue or whatever, then that means I'm dismantling or I'm moving away from my own religion or political views or belief. Doesn't mean that. That's 2 plus 2 is 5. Not a fact, it's a belief. You're entitled to it. However, many of our beliefs doesn't work for us anymore. So set intentional goals and be intentional about transformation. Last but not least, close the gap, put a bow on this thing. I don't offer homework because homework, you take it home, you do it, you never remember it. You never think about it again. Life work, you take it home, you do it, your life will change. in some capacity. So these things that I want to give you is a way that you can begin practicing becoming the best version of you in order to start doing some things new and different. Number one, my challenge, your life work. This is for you specifically. You're on this webinar. This is for you. I will challenge you every single day this week to do something new, different, and or uncomfortable. All of them intentionally. Instead of just going straight home, straight to work, let me go a different route to work. Instead of saying yes to everything and everyone, start saying no. Instead of saying I don't want to work with this client population, let me try working with them. Let me get to know them. Instead of brushing your teeth with your dominant hand, try your opposite hand. Instead of putting your pants leg on certain leg at a time, switch legs. Cut your hair. Wear glasses. Take your glasses off. Instead of a t-shirt, do a button down. Instead of button down, do a t-shirt. I don't care what you do. Just do something outside your comfort zone intentionally and see what happens. Next, consider one perspective that you would like to change. I don't like this type of person, this type of group, this culture. Look at that perspective and dive into it. How can I be an influencer of change for myself when it comes to certain people, places, and things? Next, connect with people, places, and things you've avoided. Yes, connect with people, places, and things that you've avoided. Why? Because this is how we learn about others. Study yourself. Think about what it's like to be in a certain situation with people. Here's another example. A lot of us like different cultural foods. How can I enjoy the foods and not understand the people or ask them? We talk about their food. We learn and study the food, but we can learn and study the person. A lot of times we don't do that. That's an opportunity. So any restaurant that you go to that's not American, that's anything outside of your norm, or choose to go somewhere that's not your norm, find out not just about the food, but about the people that's making it. What's one strategy or action step that you can take immediately? Any of them. You decide. I'm not going to do it for you. You do it for yourself. All right. Next, if not now, then when? I want you to make it a SMART goal, measurable, observable, time specific, the whole nine, right? So if not now, then when? Is it today? Is it this week? Is it this month? Is it this year? My challenge is you do all of them. Do something today, do something this week, do something this month, do something this year, and see what happens. For your boy, your professor, that's who I am now, your web design presenter, your therapist for this moment, not forever, because I'm not the therapist, just for this webinar. I do something new, different, uncomfortable every day, and I've done it for about a decade now. And that's what allowed me to be who I am to this day. So I highly recommend it. Last but not least, set the goal and execute. If I do something uncomfortable every day from now to the end of the year, you will be a completely different person by the end of the year. And when you're a completely different person, you live in a whole new house. You transition, you transform. You remember that little house with the 3 levels on it, right? The attic, the living room, the basement. Look at this house. It's a lot more rooms in there. There's a lot more levels, a lot more layers. There's a whole new basement here because you've done everything that you need to do in that old house. And that basement is no longer a dark, sweaty, stinky place. It's actually a place that's livable. The living room is livable. The attic is livable, which means you've outgrown that house. And in between houses, typically you're in the stairwell, you're in the alleyway, waiting for the new home to be developed. This home is being developed in real time while you're working on yourself. It's kind of like the between of a salamander to an alligator. And the between the salamander and alligator is a saligator. You are all now saligators because you're right in the middle. Got some new information now. What do you do with it? Because information is great, but means absolutely nothing if it's not applied. So when it comes to my house, I want to share a story. And the story connects the dots to the Nordstrom experience I mentioned. Being a salamander at that time, perfectionism mindset, my perception, I wasn't present, all these things happened. And that experience really opened my awareness to I'm not that person anymore where I can just accept somebody's beliefs and assumptions being placed on me. So I decided from that day to begin working on me and what's going on for me internally in my basement to allow people to see who I am and especially reintroduce myself when they assume who I am. So fast forward several months, maybe even a year later after that Nordstrom experience, I had an opportunity to play it back again. And how I played to get back again, the opportunity presented itself, counseling karma, I would call it, where I'm at the lake with my boys. I got two young boys. I'm at the lake, and there's people running and walking, and there's people in front of me running and walking. And there was this couple, older couple, that was walking as well. And they walked up to me or walked towards me. We was going to cross paths. Now, they didn't stop anybody else for whatever reason, but they stopped me. And the male asked, I had an Auburn sweatshirt on, and the male asked, "Hey, how you doing? How's it going?" I'm like, "Everything's good." Pushing my car on my way with my boys. He said, "Hey, did you play football at Auburn? Or do you play football at Auburn?" I said, "No, I don't play." "Did you used to play at Auburn?" "No, sir. Never played at Auburn in my life." "Did you used to play football?" And that's when I recognized what was going on. Here's this black male in this university sweatshirt. He has to be an athlete, former athlete, current athlete. He can't be anything else. Because what other reason would you wear a university related sweatshirt if you don't play sports? So his mind, his belief was, I can only be an athlete and I can only play football. And in these moments, you have to recognize who you are and who you are not. So he put his beliefs and his assumptions on me. And I got so giddy and excited because now I have an opportunity to let him know who I am and who I'm not, because I have practice. And I vowed to myself to never allow that to happen again. So as I was preparing what I was going to say back, I let him finish because I wanted to hear everything he had to say, because he was going to hear everything that I have to say. And I let him share everything he needed to say. And then it was my turn. And when my turn began, there was a song in the background. And it was Jay-Z's Black Album, Public Service Announcement. If you never heard it, go to YouTube, look it up. And it was this sound in the back of the intro. Dun, 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 dun. Ladies and gentlemen, like, I just heard it because I was finna unload on this man in the most respectful, professional way possible. But before, I want you to know this, before you introduce yourself, before you reintroduce yourself to anybody, you have to reintroduce yourself to yourself. So from that last exchange from Nordstrom all the way to now, I've been reintroducing me to me. So now I can reintroduce myself to him. And before I know it, the song was playing, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is actually Dr. Jason Branch. I'm an Auburn alum, graduated from Auburn University. I'm a professor. I have this, I have a practice, I have this, blah, blah, blah. I told him everything about me. And about the same time, if not more than he gave me. And he clutched his pearls. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. And it was one of the most proudest and exhilarating moments for me because I didn't allow somebody's belief to become my reality. I live in a whole new house now. And he knew what house I was in. And he knew he didn't have access. And I let this man know who I actually was. And I dropped the mic and there was nothing else to say. He had plenty of questions, but I didn't have the time because I'm not here to teach you about me or about Black people or about Black men. That's your responsibility, not mine. I dropped the mic, I grabbed my boys, and I left. And I left with my head held high with so much confidence because I knew that that older white gentleman could never see anybody like me in that light again without having a second thought, without questioning, without being curious now, instead of telling Black men who they actually are. That experience at Nordstrom had to happen in order for me to have that experience at the lake. And that's me. And that's because of the work that I've done on myself. So imagine the people that you've come in contact with that you still don't even know to this day that you've hurt in some capacity, that didn't have whatever they needed to become the best version of themselves, or the same for you. It has happened to you in some capacity because human beings will do human things. I share all this with you in order for us to begin doing things differently and seeing people for who they are and not who we believe them to be. If you have questions, don't stop here. Reach out to me. You can catch me email, social media, Dr. Jason Branch, my website, www.drjbranch.com. Email me, drj@drjbranch.com. I'm on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, reach out. If I could be of any assistance, any service, or if you have questions about anything, reach out. Lastly, to close this out, I'm gonna leave this screen up, take a screenshot, do whatever you need to do to get connected because I'm building a community, I'm building a culture, I'm building ways that we can just process and we can be human together. And how did I decide to do that? I started a podcast last year. Guess what the name of the podcast is? Three Parallels Podcast. Why? Because I'm interested in who we were, who we are, who we're becoming. So I started a podcast and I share stories about who I was, who I am, who I'm becoming. I have guests on who share who they were, who they are, who they're becoming. And it's an opportunity for you to dive into different cultures and awareness and see different people doing different things. So now you don't have to assume they will tell you. And you can also reach out to them to get more insight, more info. The podcast is on Spotify, it's on YouTube. You have access to it or any of your favorite streaming platforms. So dive in. But I have to give you a gift as well. Not only with the podcast, I actually I curated a Three Parallels podcast playlist. So a playlist on Spotify is filled with different music from all different walks of life, from different types of people, from different communities and cultures and connections. It all brings us together. Music and food brings humans together, not apart. Brings us together. So I'm being intentional about creating this playlist and creating this podcast to bring us all together because we can't do it alone. We can't do this profession alone. So this is my way of connecting with you and anybody who's interested for us to connect with each other. If you have questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, attaboys, you want to give me some flowers, I take them. Whatever it is, I want to be of service. I want to help. I want to support. I just want us to be better individually and collectively. Thank you so much for your time, your attention, your focus, your integrity, your vulnerability, your authenticity. Thank you for allowing me to share my story and you to hear me and my truth. And I hope this information was helpful to give you an opportunity to do something with the information that you learned. Don't keep this knowledge to yourself. Share it with other people, places, and things. My name is Dr. Jason Branch. It has been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Much love to you. Become the best version of you possible because your better self is waiting on you. Have a great day.